Love and light, everyone. Thank you for being here today and sharing my messages. I've been in practice for over 30 years working with altered states of consciousness, and my resume is on my website. With this film, I'm going to explain to you the way I work and what I've learned through my journey working with hundreds of clients and spirits, because sometimes spirits need help as well. Through this film, I'm going to show you a diagrammic representation of the metaphysical mechanisms of our existence, or in its simplest format, the game of life. This matrix we live in is like a giant computer game. Every action has a reaction, karma. We are living through the karmic responses from our initial contamination, as explained in my film, the original Contamination, which is on YouTube. During this film, I will cover some of the perspectives relating to the material, spiritual, etheric bodies, and time distortion, Tachypsychia. But it may give a better understanding if you have watched these two short films, which I have on YouTube, and they're listed in this film's format. This film consists of two diagrams. I've made the diagrams to simplify the metaphysical dynamics we are experiencing. And life experience is compulsory, for even though through death we are processed and recycled to be reincarnated, individually pre-packed into your university of life. The first diagram in the space and time continuum gives reference to our soul. The soul, which includes the constituents of our existence. The constituents of our existence being our spiritual, etheric, and material bodies. Our three bodies are joined by 7 portals known as chakras. A quick reminder from my previous film, most of us understand what the material and spiritual bodies are, but not many people understand or recognise the etheric body. The etheric body consists of a fine material substance, which is also our link to the spiritual dimension. From the pre-programmed mechanisms of our 3 bodies, we have our individuality, our autonomy, the steering wheel of the car by which you may drive down any route you desire within the matrix, within the game of life. Cognition and emotion lead to our choices, and our choices lead to experiences which eventually develop our nature, taking into account we already have an etheric pre-programmed nature. How can the nature of a species be changed? It needs to be cloned, for better or worse, reprogrammed, as was in the original Contamination, and is being done now through the autistic spectrum to change us for the better. The Akashic records, everything is recorded, every second, but we make our own time, as shown in my film, Time Distortion, Tachypsychia. Let's move on to diagram 2 of the space and time continuum. A good example of linear time is our 24-hour daily cycle determined by the planets. We have a time spectrum from limbo, where we can literally stand still, to fleeting time, whereby time flies and there are not enough hours in the day. Time can be slow or fast. Tachypsychia, many people have experienced time distortion during extreme situations in their lives. People have experienced time slowing down, being in a world of slow motion, which as a safety mechanism gives the individual more of a chance for survival in a life-threatening situation. Linear time can be fast or slow. Time is reactive to our circumstances. The material earth is manifested through condensation. Just like condensation on a window, there may be several pints of water in a room in the air which cannot be seen, until the air touches the colder glass and water runs down the window. We have social and psychological condensation. Solidification through material greed manifests through obsession. Obsession is a rigid solidification, a tunnel vision with no alternative intervention. The latter is a major prerequisite of evil. Greed indoctrinated from the original Contamination, which I explain in my film Adam and Eve, the original Contamination and Living in Hell. Depression, anxiety, suicide and drug addiction. The side effects of living in purgatory, dancing and skipping upon the hot coals of hell, is depicted throughout our history. Many people believe that the more they gain materially, then the more happy they will become. How many famous, wealthy prodigies have taken and destroyed their own lives? Earthbound inertia with its accompaniment of negative side effects versus spiritual freedom. It's like a bunch of balloons tied down to rocks, and when the strings are cut, the balloons float free. Portals, gateways can open, good or bad. Depression, anxiety, suicide are a few of the negative portals. Negative portals attract negative spirits. Over 40% of the UK population are receiving medication for anxiety-related symptoms. It's all about possession, ownership. We are the products of our Creator, and we are cared for by God. We have been possessed, stolen from our parental possession from God by our own choice of consumption through desire into the solidification of the material dimension, whereby sex, drugs, feelings of euphoria exploit our conceptions of being God, for we are made in God's image. Satanists will decree, "I want it all," as they dance at a party in purgatory within the flames from hell, which may be ecstatic, but there will always be the morning after in hell. People walk their own paths of desire, whether it be the football fan waiting for the next goal, or the political constituent waiting for the next vote, the working class people living for the next holiday, or the billionaire building a spaceship to leave the earth for a few hours. And then there is a drug addict waiting for the next goal, because drugs can take people into an altered state of consciousness, a euphoric bubble which will always pop until the next. Or maybe the hair of the dog, short for the hair of the dog that bit you. This matrix we live in is like a giant computer game. Every action has a reaction, karma. We are living through the karmic responses from our initial contamination, as explained in my film, Adam and Eve, the original contamination, and living in hell.